Hello, this is the fifth presentation on Christmas art through the ages. It is December 30th, and I will be showing you works of art concerning the wise men's visit to the Christ child. The first work of art is a sculpture found in the Cathedral of Saint Lazar in Otton, France. This is the Burgundy region of France, and it dates to the 12th century. It's actually the top of a column in the cathedral, and it shows the three kings. Notice that their crowns are on their heads even while they sleep. They're all in one bed with one cover thrown over all of them. Two are asleep while an angel touches the hand of one and his eyes are open. This scene illustrates the dream the wise men had, telling them not to tell Herod where to find Jesus, but return to the east using another route. And notice the star, the sculpted stone star above the awakened king. It looks more like a pinwheel, but it's the Christmas star. And notice the details of the angel, the halo and the scales on the angel's wings. The next work of art is a painting entitled The Adoration of the Magi by the Italian artist Giotto, and it dates to 1305. It's an early medieval painting showing some elements of the coming Renaissance by this Italian painter, with use of shadow to suggest three dimensions. Even the kings have halos, like the other subjects of the painting, traditionally wearing halos. Mary, Joseph, Jesus, and even the angel has a halo. Look also above the rude shelter of the stable that's shown here, and you'll see what looks like a comet, and that is Giotto's presentation of the Christmas star. And it's interesting to note that a comet raced across the skies of Europe in 1301, just 4 years before this painting. And I suspect that Giotto may have had that in mind, the comet, as he painted this picture of the Christmas star. Notice also to the far left the camel, the mode of transportation, of course, for the kings. And it looks more like a donkey, so I suspect that Giotto did not really know what a camel looked like. That's my speculation. The next painting is from the Baroque period. It is called The Adoration of the Kings by Peter Paul Rubens, a Flemish artist, a famous Flemish artist of the Renaissance and Baroque period from about 1617. This famous Dutch painter depicts a light and shadow scene in the stable with the kings adorned with rich raiment and turbans from the east. Even Mary's clothing is far from peasant dress. She looks more like a lady of the court. Jesus is being stood up by Mary and is blessing one of the kings kneeling before him in ermine. The next king to the left is in rich red brocade robes with a fur collar or a mantle. And then the king after him is in yellow with a turban and looks startled or somehow surprised by the scene encountered here. This is a very full scene, very detailed. It seems to have everything crammed into one section for the viewer to appreciate this painter's rich mastery of painting from the Baroque period. The next painting is about 50 years later. It's from the Baroque period. It's called The Adoration of the Kings by the Italian painter Giuseppe Chiari from 1676. This is an Italian Baroque masterpiece showing much grandeur in the kneeling kings, a standing Madonna and Child, and lots of angels and clouds in the background. The colors of the subject's clothing is quite beautiful. The reds and blues and whites pop out with the light that's emanating from the Christ child as the kings present their treasures. And then the figures in the background recede and are in shadow, so they're not meant to be the focus of the painting. You see Joseph to the far left, and often Joseph is not front and center in paintings of the Baroque period, but Mary and Jesus and the shepherds and kings usually dominate. 200 years later is this depiction of the Magi Crossing the Desert by the painter James Tissot from 1894. Tissot is a French realistic painter, and he shows in this scene a Middle East landscape that's very realistic and a different head-on perspective of the kings on their camels, suggesting great motion toward the viewer, almost as if they're going to confront you or run over you. And they stare at the viewer as they approach the viewer. A fascinating picture of the Magi. They look more like nomads of the desert than kings. The next painting is The Three Wise Men by Henry O. Tanner, and it dates to 1925. Henry O. Tanner, I've shown some of his other paintings in this series. He likes to work in blues and whites and is a very important impressionistic painting, one of America's foremost African-American painters. He studied in Paris and painted a number of religious paintings. This one shows clearly the kings on their camels, and then in the background is a lighted entrance into a cave. And then there is a lot of dramatic motion in the clouds of this painting. Thank you for joining us today, and tomorrow, which will be December 31st, we'll look at several paintings about the Madonna and Child, a very important assemblage of paintings with that theme. Thank you.